Welcome to the place where we learn about and learn from the leaders in our field who are powering human creativity. I am Aaron Dworkin, and this is Arts Engines. Thanks again for joining me here on Arts Engines. Today's guest is Eduardo Delgado, who serves as Public Programs Director of the New World Symphony. Eduardo, welcome to the show.
Oh, Aaron, it's so great to be with you. I feel like every single time I see you or I see you on social media or something, you're always doing something great. So thank you for I'm humbled to be around you.
Oh, well, thanks so much. And I am so excited to talk to you. Obviously, your role at New World's one of our amazing creative partners, but not only that, a Sphinx lead alum. And so it's really my honor to be able to talk to you. I've had the opportunity to see your leadership firsthand. And so this is very, very exciting. So I thought maybe it'd be good just to start off kind of, a lot of times people in our audience, they hear people's positions and they kind of think they know exactly what's involved, but not necessarily always. And sometimes even the same title at different organizations means something different. So first, I just started to talk about what does the Public Programs Director of the New World Symphony do? What falls in your purview?
Yeah, thank you for the question, and I'm so glad to to try to answer this one. It's an evolving job, I think, but I think what it does is address the need for marrying what is audience engagement, what we find typically especially in cultural institutions that have a home base, and what we do in community engagement, every single institution that does community engagement, and kind of marry those two together. What we're trying to accomplish here is take the entire offering of New World Symphony out into the community. In a public presentation, in that sense, no longer tethered to our beautiful building, but what happens when we can take everything on the go?
Absolutely. And does that work involve or centralize around kind of partnerships or collaborations? Like how is it structured? And if so, is there kind of a breadth to what you have to oversee there in terms of that?
Yeah, for sure. This cannot happen in a silo. Every single location, every single neighborhood that we go to is really partnered with a community leader or a cultural institution within those neighborhoods that really, really represent the area and that neighborhood trusts already. And oftentimes, we assume that trust is already in these neighborhoods with our organization, and they've never heard of us. That's something we all got to work on. Every single institution.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So that seems so important. There are so many innovative things that happen at New World. I'm always so excited when I'm there and see different things and that go even beyond the venue. But one of those things, of course, is the wall cast that's there. So I was wondering if you could start and just share for our audience kind of what the wall cast is, and then I want to take that even to the next step and how that fits into your purview where you've taken that even further.
For sure, for sure. And we've had Howard on this show, and he's our CEO, and just such a spearhead for innovative thinking in this field. But just to really quickly just tell you the evolution of what Wallcast, where it started. When our organization was founded about 35 years ago, more or less. Michael Tilson Thomas and our the financial person behind it, Ted Arison, founder of Carnival Cruise Lines, really believed in the idea of access to to music, access to classical arts. So in our first iteration of this, we had these tube TVs right outside our venues, and people could just look at the image, of what's happening inside the hall. Eventually that became, on Lincoln Road, just one block south of us, Lincoln Road, a giant strip mall, open air strip mall. And we just put those inflatable inflatable screens and a bunch of lawn chairs, and people really wanted to be out in the community and just enjoy classical music out in a space that they enjoyed having dinner in, loose. It felt like a loose environment and just something everybody can just have a social engagement with. Um, when this building started becoming, an idea around 2007, 2008, MTT really wanted to have a wall on the exterior of our building that projected everything that, our large concerts out into a giant park, 256 speakers. And it was important for Michael Tilson Thomas for this vision to have this space, and that birthed the Wallcast about 10 years ago. It is a behemoth of a wall outside of our building, 7 stories high, 256 speakers inside of a beautiful park, where you can just come and watch about 15 concerts a year, completely free, completely open, no tickets, no nothing. Just come and enjoy it. And people have really taken it into a giant tailgate experience, just kind of leaning on that, the big game. I won't call it what it was, but
And I have to, and it's so funny too, because I have to share, even with the Sphinx Virtuosi were down there, and even in this extraordinary hall on the inside, I felt myself drawn to be outside because the experience is just so amazing, and being enveloped in sound outside with this giant visual that almost puts you in the hall.
yeah.
So it is a truly extraordinary experience for anyone in our audience who hasn't checked it out yet. I certainly encourage that. So it's, and I love how you charted that evolution too, which is something I think that all of our, working in the field can see how an initial intent of this idea of connecting with the outside, of literal transparency that started in one way, and then as the growth of technology and funding and all of that increased, that has now led to led to 7 stories and many speakers, etc. And so now, kind of again following with that ethos of New World, how has that now continued to evolve?
Yeah, and it's enter mobile wallcast. That's what we're doing now. And really, the giant question. One of the things that we saw happening with wallcast is you get to create a sense of community, right? It's picnic tables, and people have these amazing spreads for these concerts, and just really converse with each other. And it's such a beautiful thing. One of the central points in going into the mobile wallcast venture was that we were getting the same community over and over. The same folks were coming to these experiences, and were we really truly um, representative of the breadth of diversity that is Miami, uh, we can do better. And that's what we're doing with the mobile wallcast. Instead of asking people to come to our doorstep and trust that process and really take it, and really a commitment, right? I mean, you're talking about on any decent day in Miami, it's about an hour of traffic. The parking, getting onto the beach is pretty difficult, in its own right. There's dinner, you're talking about 4 or 5 hour commitment. What if we can take that wall, break it off where it is, and send it on wheels wherever we want? And that's what we got. We are taking our product in, to you, and that's such a subtle shift in the arts, but we're not trying to expect people to come to us anymore. And if there is that barrier, and there it is, that is in the arts, if there's that barrier of, well, getting to us is hard, then let's flip it.
I love that. Absolutely love that. And so how does this manifest physically? In other words, how does that happen? How is the wall? How big is it, and where do you
Yeah.
take it?
Yeah. So if, some technical stuff about it, it's about 23 feet wide and 13 feet high. It gets hitched onto the back of a pickup truck, along with a box truck that comes with staging and speakers and any other thing that we need to create, live music experience. Because it's one thing to bring the unit itself, the wall itself, with this video screen into the community hitched up to the truck and play it. We want to be careful of that, right? You want to say we'll bring our musicians as well. You gotta come here live. If what's the hesitation of bringing people into different communities, right? So and there is none. We really want to make sure that we're coming with our musicians, having them have an experience in a part of Miami they probably wouldn't have gotten in the 3 year time that they're also here. And just let them connect and learn from that experience, because every single fellow that will come through this building will inevitably have some sort of community engagement wherever they end up in life.
It's extraordinary work. It's absolutely amazing. And as with many of the other innovations of New World, they end up rippling out and other organizations begin exploring them as well. So this is extraordinary work. Unfortunately, we are just about out of time, but I always like to ask this of all my guests, which is that, this work, which obviously is so rewarding and so much fun and at a fun institution, that there's got to be some tough days or days where there are challenges that arise, especially sometimes with technology or with partners. And just wondering, as an arts leader, do you have any leadership best practices that you do to help you through some of those challenges to overcome the greatest obstacles that arise?
Yeah, I mean, one of the big challenges with this project is weather, and it's just inescapable in Miami with the rain. And I think from that sense is you start to see spaces in a different sense. We've taken the mobile wallcast, a very, very, very planned in this case to a public park, museum, a plaza, a shopping plaza, and a cultural arts center. Very different from a symphony center. And we've really tried to play around with different venues because we need to learn about how each space breathes and welcomes people, to the symphony, and also to local artists that we hire from all the places that we visit. Because this cannot just be a one-sided story, right? This experience has to be about the neighborhood. We're going to share a little bit about us. You're going to share a little bit about you. And this is how it all started. This is how we engaged in conversations from the beginning of time, and just learned about each other. So I would encourage that. Just don't be so one-sided. As you venture out into the community, just be willing to listen to the neighborhood that you go to, because sometimes that is going to inspire you significantly more. Because in most cases, it's not something you know about, right? It's not music you know about. It's not an artist or a work of art, or fine art in this case, that you're familiar with. So just be willing to just soak it in, because there's a lot of good stuff. How excellence is happening everywhere, and it's not something that we can define.
I absolutely love that. Thank you for all the extraordinary work you are doing. Eduardo Delgado, you truly are one of the arts engines who is powering human creativity in our world. Thank you so much for being on the show.
No, thank you, Aaron.